Hi Ram, everyone.
Hi Ram.
Just to go back to last weekend, what we discussed. Swami we are going on to the chapter 10. Swami is greeting the devotee, saying that you are full of joy. And last week we discussed what is joy, what is bliss, I think what is happiness. And then Swami says we should not be trying, we should try. We should not try, but we should just do it in terms of to remove all the obstacles in experiencing joy or bliss and trying to get to one, become one with the Lord. So Swami says we have to work on it, and we should not be trying. I think that's what we discussed briefly. So I will ask Sister Kalyani to continue. Sai Ram, sister.
Swami, well, you look so full of joy today. Bhakta, you have yourself said that man is the embodiment of joy, isn't it? Swami, then you must always be in this mood. Do you remain so? Bhakta, I am trying as far as possible. Swami, why do you say trying? Does not sorrow flee the instant reality is known?
So we can see that Swami is giving an assurance that as soon as we see reality, the sorrow vanishes, and we will be full of joy from there on. And so that's why Swami is, I think, telling us why waste, try as soon as possible and achieve that. So that's what I could understand. So I will open it up for anyone if someone has something to discuss.
I guess I have a bit of confusion here because it seems almost like Swami is saying you shouldn't need to try or you shouldn't have to try too hard. So like if you are trying to do something or trying to work on a sadhana or give up something and you're trying really hard and it feels difficult or like it feels like you're fighting against something, is Swami saying that that maybe you're not doing it in the right way? Like it should be more effortless?
Okay, Sairam, sister, I will. It's a good question. I think I will open it up for anyone else to comment. Please, Sai.
Saira, when the Bhakta says, Bhakta says, it's the embodiment of joy. You have yourself said that man is the embodiment of joy. That's why he is happy. Bhakta is saying he is happy because Bhagawan has said it. And he indirectly says that he is full of joy. He is joyous. But Bhagavan is saying if you say you are joyful, then it must be permanent. So until you get that permanent reality revealed, you are not correct to say that you are joyful or you have joy. That is a indirect meaning hidden here. That's what I see it. That is left to others.
Thank you, brother. Anyone else would like to comment?
Sai Ram, my understanding from these two question and answers, Swami is trying to tell you must be joyful all the time. That sort of stage, it would be attached permanently to you if you elevate yourself into that very higher level. That means that all we studied, all the things we have studied, if we fully practice, and if we are in that very higher stage, then only practically we could be joyful at all time, regardless of what happens to us in our day-to-day life. It's beyond those things. We will be joyful all the time. So I can understand Sister Kalyani's question. We could be in the very the low level, in the sense entry level, or in the middle level, or in different level or different level of the spiritual ladder. So if that is the case, is anything wrong? The Bhakta is saying, I am trying as far as possible, because in practically or in reality, it's very difficult, to maintain the embodiment of joy at all times. That is only if those souls, they have elevated to the very higher level, or they are almost maybe one little step below the merging to the Supreme Lord. They are the one they can maintain at all time, regardless of whether they have experienced sorrow or the happiness in the day-to-day life. So that's my understanding about the Kalyani's question, whether is it practical, or whether whether is anything wrong with that. I am trying, because in my level, I would say definitely I am trying as far as possible. Sometimes I cannot be embodiment of joy all the time, because I am a human. I am with all my senses, 5 senses. I can be sometimes happiness, sometimes very, very sorrowful. So how we can avoid that one? Maybe Swami is teaching us, gradually you pass each level, try every level to move forward in the ladder. Thank you, Sai Ram. That's my humble opinion on this one.
Thank you very much, Victor. Anyone else would like to comment?
Sai Ram, I think there's a hidden message within this context, this conversation, when the Bhakta says that. So I think there's a hidden message by what Swami is saying. That's also there, that without actually spiritually grow within ourselves, we should not parrot what Swami says to others or outwardly. Sai
Ram, brother, Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
I see when we say trying, that is not self-confident. We have to be confident that I am doing it. Like when we get some task from our manager at work, I can't say I am trying. I should say I will do. I am doing it. Or when we get a wedding invitation, I will try to come. No, I will come. So being positive and then knowing the results. Swami says you must always be happy in this mood. So I'm confident. I'm self-confident that I will do. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much. Sai Ram, sister.
Sai Ram, brother. What I understand from this passage, Swami trying to say that if I am an embodiment of joy, you also can be like that, because he always says you are sparkle of divine kind of, so you can achieve that. But for that, he's saying you have to, you shouldn't have sorrow. So the sorrow is the one is blocking for us to be we are not to be happy, right? So that only way when we remove the sorrow, then that's not trying. We have as we have learned before, we have to take sorrow and happiness in the same way, and we have to see the divinity on it to be happy. Then always you can maintain the joy. That's what my understanding is. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you, sister. Anyone else would like to say something? Okay, I think that's a comment on the chat box by the Sitaram. He says Swami is even questioning the definition of joy and its source that the devotee has mentioned so casually in this conversation. Thank you very much. So, from what I understand is Swami is making us think. None of these words spoken or this conversation is just in a lighter vein. It's just like not a normal conversation with anyone. But Swami's is very deep, as Brother Vimalesan rightly pointed out. The devotee, Swami says, you are full of joy. The devotee is telling that you are saying this, Swami, or something like that. And then Swami says, are you in that mood again? Always. And he says, no, I'm trying. I think, this can be extrapolated to many things, I think, in our lives. Because even Sister Aruna said, talking about love, we said we are being loving. Many people say, but are we all the time loving? If we are not loving all the time, then there's no love in our heart. I think that's what Swami is telling us here. Not Swami is trying, Swami is telling. So I think we should not say things as without real meaning. I think it should not be empty words. We should really mean what we say, and we should live by that. I think that's what Swami says. As Brother Surya Kumar said, we should have confidence. Yeah, of course, the confidence will come only if we are in that state. And I think Swami is sort of pushing us to get to that state, because actually days pass. Every day we say we are trying. As Sister Anandi said, we are human. Because we have identified ourselves as human beings, that's the problem. Swami says, don't identify yourself as a human being of this body. This entire Sandeha Nivarini is actually addressing this thing to make ourselves understand who we are. So even in this case, the reason the person is saying trying is because the person is identifying with, not identifying with the real self. When you identify with the real self, the self-confidence comes, as Swami would say. So I think trying is just consoling ourselves for something which we are not doing. I think that's the way I understand it as. But we fool ourselves and we fool the world, as Brother Vimal says, that we are loving, we are full of love, we are full of joy, or even to say that we have devotion. You see, I think we have to ask ourselves. So I think these are things which we can ponder over, and I think Swami is explaining, I think, the rest of the chapter, how and what's the path and what are the hurdles in achieving that. I think that's my understanding. Thank you very much. Sairam sisters, Kalyan, I hope, I think you yourself give the answer also, but you asked for discussion, I think, but it was very good discussion. Sairam.
So, Sairam brother, I would like to add one more thing regarding the embodiment of love. So embodiment of four you have to practice. That is Satya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema. That's what small opinion on mine too. Thank you, Saira.
Sai Ram, Sai. So I think if there's no other comments, Sister Kalyani, we can read on. Or?
Bhakta, but what is the reality, Swami? Swami, all that is unreal. The efforts you undertake, the words you utter, are all unreal. When you know this, the reality will be evident. Remove all the unreal ideas, opinions, acts, and the truth that is hidden can be seen. Piling up all this on top, if you ask, what is reality? How can it be seen? Bhakta, how is it possible to take all that is done, spoken, seen, felt, listened to as unreal? Swami, first understand who is experiencing all these. You refer to the body as I, isn't it? That is unreal. When the experiencing I is itself unreal, how can the experiences be real? All have the same Atma. The person who is experienced is not you. The person who listened is not you. You only witnessed all this.
Thank you very much, Sister. So as we can see, the devotee has the same issue as us. So Swami is telling what's the way to get to the point where we are in that state. And as we briefly discussed earlier, Swami is talking about identification with the body. Because the body is experiencing, and because we think we are the body, then we also experience all the challenges in this life. So as Swami says, Atma is nothing except a witness of something which is happening. So that I think Swami wants us to cultivate that witness consciousness, is what I can understand. Just stand apart and watch the experience of the body itself and identify with that thing which is observing, not necessarily the one which is experiencing. So I will stop here. If anyone has something to say, please.
Sai Ram, I think Swami is trying to drive home the core of the Advaitic principle. So he has been telling all the time in everything. So the only real thing is Atma, and everything else is. But that is easy to say. But you have to. That is what we have to at least try hard to practice. So I think that is what he is trying to drive home, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Anyone?
So, Sai Ram, this is Shivani. So, the question is, if you are in some trouble in your own definition, trouble can be defined differently by different people. If you think you are in sorrow, so here what I understood is Bhagawan is saying that watch that situation, detach yourself, and just observe. Don't get affected by it. Is it also to, when you see it, you also learn something from that situation, and then as a body, you just improve on it. So you don't, there's no emotion, but yet there is a lesson to be learned, and then say, okay, this is what has happened. Maybe this is not what should have happened. So what is a lesson learned from it? And then take it and move, but don't get indulged in happiness, sorrow, or disappointment. Am I understanding right?
Thank you, sister. Thank you for initiating a discussion. I will again open it up for everyone, others to comment. Thank you. Saira.
Sairam, is it a very practical question about this subject we are currently discussing in these two question and answers? Say for an example, just a simple example, maybe even in the study circle or anywhere else, one of my loving brothers or sisters, they are yelling at me for something. And I know from Swami's teaching, I have to take it, without happiness or without sorrow. I have to be, in neutral state. I have to realize everything, it's not for the body or mind, just like Swami beautifully said that we have to take that as an experience and learn the lesson from that. So before that, anyone, first I will cry if someone is yelling at me, I will cry for hours, and then only maybe the night or the next day, I would say, think about, okay, what really wrong with me, in that particular situation or moment, why it has been so difficult in that, whether my question is wrong or the answers, whoever told me the answers is wrong, or but first reality, the first initial tendency or the initial emotional state, that is really hard. Brother Vimelis and Beauty also already mentioned that it's really hard to stop that emotion, unless you are in that, the very higher state. It's very hard to control your emotion, but still, Swami, all these things I'm taking myself, it's lesson, all these things will happen, but you have to move on, keep move on, with the lesson you learned in every lesson. That sort of understanding I am getting from this paragraph, but I think it's really, really hard to get up to that stage. Thank you, Saira.
Saira, sister. Anyone else would like to comment, please?
So, Saira, brother, if someone pointing out says something, you have to understand that person is who is seated inside. You have to differentiate the body and the I. So who is seated? So God is seated. So if someone says yelling at somebody, that means you are yelling at the God. That's what according to the paragraph. So, but other person, sometimes they don't realize, they think they are criticizing to my body. So you have to understand, I am not the body. So if you don't, then if you realize, it's all your mind is criticizing everything, getting the opinion and everything. So you have to come out from that mind. If you don't have that mind, then then you are not going to hate anybody. You forgive them. This is my understanding, brother. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would?
Sairam, brother.
Go ahead, Auntie.
No, just a clarification here. We are trying, in this first paragraph, Swami is trying to say, remove all the unreal ideas, opinion, is to see the truth that is hidden, right? What is the truth that we are trying to find out is the Atma, embodiment of love. Shall we, can I get that clarification on that? Please, thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, sister. I think Sister Kalyani was about to say something.
Just separate, actually, from what Auntie Aruna was saying, but going back to what Auntie Anandi was saying, is the goal really for us to become emotionless? because in her example, she experienced that emotion, sadness, and expressed the emotion, but then got over it, or dealt with it. Maybe she came to some understanding about, or putting things into context, and dealt with that emotion. Like, is the goal really for us to become emotionless, and is that even possible? And also, like, Swami himself has expressed emotion, like he's become tearful, like in that video, certain videos, when he sees a play, or when he's talking about some devotees or something like that, he does become emotional and shed tears. So yeah, I just wanted some clarity around that.
Thank you very much, sister. I think Brother Sitaram also has posted a comment, which I'll read. It's more than 30, 40 years for each of us to have believed that all this is so real. Now, if we don't start to negate that belief and start separating ourselves from the unreal, we're very sure to continue many lives like this. This weekly satsang is a great and regular reminder of this truth for all of us. I just comment on that. But Sitaram, it's I think only a few of you are 30, 40 years. Others, there are many who have spent more time in this birth, at least, in terms of number of years. And I think it's many, many lifetimes of habit, I think. But I was just pointing. Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to share something, please?
Sairam, I would like to say just what I think about for the question Sister Aruna asked. Yeah, in the spiritual parlance, so the Advaita testing, it's there's a process called Neti process. That's what, that's what she asked. So we had to identify what is unreal, what is the Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Vivekam. So that is whatever is unreal, whatever is changing, not so. The only truth is which is changeless all the time. So if you at least intellectually, if you keep on this thing, at least intellectually, we can try to understand. That is, then once that is clear to us, at least intellectually, then at least we can, if we have conviction in that intellectually, at least, then in our life, at least little by little, we might progress. That's, I would say, for her question. And for Kalyani's question, I would like to just say this. As I don't know, once before said, that sattvic emotions are okay. So we have to be established in the reality, that is, we are Atma. I think it's Swami always says spirituality or whatever this, it's in proportion to the progress in that line. So if we more and more establish in the truth that we are Atma and we are not body, emotions, mind, whatever. So in proportion to that, our fluctuations of emotions will be less. Still will be there, but until we reach to a really high stage, like saints and sages, but at least the fluctuations will be less. And till then, this, so it's also always we have to try to be more in sattvic, this thing, guna, and then we will go beyond that. But so Swami crying when looking at a play, we have seen even in person that, but those are, even that is a teaching. We had to, that the emotion, we had to first just immerse ourselves in sattvic emotions and thoughts and all that. Then it's it's easier to go beyond that. So the emotion, that's what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. If anyone has something, otherwise I will attempt to. I think I will start with Sister Shivani. Sister Shivani's question was if some troubles, we encounter some problem or something like that. The whole problem is identification that the trouble is actually affecting us. And I think Sister Anandi also said, if we as humans, so something, if it happens to me or somebody tells something to me, or so ultimately it's all about identification. As long as we identify with the body, we will suffer with the body, suffer with the mind, suffer with everything else. But if we feel that the body it's being addressed to the body, or it's addressed to my mind, or things like that, but I am not that, even though the reactions of the body or the mind will be something, we will not be affected. So for example, if our body is a body, and if something cuts or something is broken, the feeling of pain will be registered by the brain, because that's standard. That is the nature of the body. But we ourselves may not be affected by that as much if we do not identify with the body, because we will only say our body is hurting, but we will not be hurting. We will not identify with that hurt. We will think this body is usually something happens to the body, it will hurt. Okay, let's see what can be done. You may even give a painkiller or something like that, but it's all with the body. But I would still go around unaffected by that pain so much, even though if you're feeling the pain also, it's the same thing as Sister Kalyana said. Should we be emotionless? Emotion will be there. Emotion is expressed. If we say Swami is emotional, but you may see Swami crying, or Swami being laughing, or Swami is getting angry. These are emotions which are parcel of the gunas of the mind and the body. This will continue on. But the thing is, the person underneath will not be swayed by that, will be not affected by it, will not be shaken by that. So what happens is, when the problem passes, so for example, if something cut and it was bleeding, that time we will feel the pain. After a few hours, we will not feel the pain. But the thing is, a person who looks at it every time and reminds themselves is stuck with that. The body is not stuck with it, but the person using the mind will be stuck with it. For example, if we walk on the street and somebody throws a stone or something like that, we may feel the pain. When we come back, we will recollect and recollect and recollect and worry about it and feel the same pain again and again. That is because the mind is attached to that experience, and the self is also attached to the experience. So I think that's all about living in the present. At that present moment, we may experience certain things, but we should not hold on to it. The mind has the tendency to hold on to it, and the way mind holds on to it only because we also identify with the mind and the body. So the jnani will go along with all the experience in his life with natural reaction, but underneath they will not lose their state of joy, even if there's pain. So it is, many people think, if I become spiritually progress, I will be able to bear any cold, who is the I? Is the body able to bear it, or the self will be able to bear it? So unfortunately, many people in practicing yoga and this and that, they're trying to elevate the body and the mind to the atmic level. That will never happen. The body has to die. All the great people who said we can live forever are no more, because the nature of the body is part of the 5 elements. So the mind is also the same. The mind will also register emotions, but that emotion will be an instantaneous emotion, a reaction to that point. Or Swami said reaction, resound, reflection, so only at that point in time. But once we attach ourselves to those experiences or to the body, then we will also get carried away by those experiences indefinitely. So it's the same thing like, in the ocean. The difference between a jnani and ajnani, a person who doesn't know, is one. For example, if somebody jumps into the ocean, a person who does not know to swim will be beating his hand left, right, and center, because that is the only thing he knows. And maybe he's drowning and he's trying to keep himself afloat, but he will be beating his hand and feet, not knowing how to swim. A jnani also will jump into the same ocean and will be using his hands and feet, but he will be an expert swimmer. So what happens is he's also using the hand and the feet, but he's not affected by that experience. He is also using the hands and the feet. Why he has to use the hands and feet? That's the nature of the ocean. But is the person fearless and confident and is able to swim? Yes, because he has detached himself to some extent with knowledge that using the body appropriately, the body can be saved. But the person who thinks, because he thinks I am using hands, but who is the person who has full control over the hands. The person who is scared doesn't have the control. He will also be beating in the same ocean, but not knowing how to handle the situation. So the difference between a person who understands who is that they are Atman and a normal human being is very, very subtle, and externally we may not be able to even understand or appreciate it. So that's what Swami is telling. Don't identify with yourself. Swami is not saying ideas will not be there, opinions will not be there, actions will be not there. They will all exist, but they are not the truth. Don't dwell on them too much. I think this is what Swami is saying, is my understanding. So he wants us to be just a witness. Just see what's all going on. Don't be affected. There should be a core which is not affected in us, and we should hold on to that and then live in this world. And I think that's what Swami is trying to say, because in that stage we are not really worried about what goes on. I'm sorry, I don't know whether I answered or not, or I just confused everyone, but I thought that's my understanding. But if anyone has something to say, we can talk about it.
Iram, yeah, I think what Brother Arun has very beautifully explained, that no, we can see, like fully realized saying like Ramana Maharishi, if something happened, we can see maybe even very obvious how he is unaffected. But someone who has grown spiritually to some extent, but still, as before, said, still human. So, so what I'm trying to say is, someone who hasn't even attempted to spiritually grow, and one who has grown to a certain extent, we cannot see the difference when something happens, some tragedy to both of them. But it's, as Brother Arno said, it's very subtle. But inwardly, there will be definitely significant difference in the way they take it. So it's that is what Swami is trying to teach here in the Vahinis or whatever, and that is the great advantage of all these study circles, satsang, and even the purpose of Atma Vidya. So, actually, in proportion to what we learn, and in proportion even more in proportion to what we try to practice, really, there will be definitely, we will progress. Saira.
Right, brother. Thank you. I think whoever asked the question, I don't know whether you all found something or I would like to discuss. Maybe.
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Sairam. So if everyone is okay, maybe we'll move on, or
Bhakta, you said, Swami, that in everything there is Atma. Is there Atma in a dead man? Swami, oh, a good question indeed. Is it more to solve your doubt or the doubt of a dead person? Bhakta, mine. Swami, well, it is only when you have awakened from deep sleep or sushupti that you are aware there is an I, isn't it? In the same manner, there is Atma in the corpse also.
so this is a big zinger, I guess. So the person is asking, because it's permanent, and so I think the question is, when we are dead, is there Atman? I think that's the question which the devotee is asking. And I think the second, the first answer which Swami gives is a good question. He said, is it more to solve your doubt or the doubt of the dead person? It's a fantastic answer with Swami, because sometimes we ask academic questions. You see, hypothetical academic questions. And I think Swami is just warning us, ask the questions which of real your doubt, which is of applicability for you. In a very subtle way, Swami is saying, because our mind has this tendency, it will ask all sorts of questions which are not even relevant for our life, our own progress. So I think Swami just sort of subtly pointing that out. For whose sake are you asking this question? Ask questions for your own growth. I think that's very loud and clear. That's what I noted there. Then Swami says, just like how the dead body doesn't have, it has Atma. It's just like a person who's asleep. He's there, but the body is sleeping. And when the person is awake, the person knows, oh, I was there. But all along, that person was there. I think that's what Swami is telling here. So I will pause here, and others can contribute, discuss or ask questions or comment. Share your comments with Saira.
Sairam, I would like to say that this in when we talk about in spirituality general and in Advaita philosophy, when we discuss all this deep sleep, they call it 3 states: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, and the 4th one is turiya. So these deep sleep, they always generally even those who know Tamil and Tirukkural, there's a Kural saying, "Tunguvathu polum," whatever. So he equates as deep sleep to death, and it's always there. People, many always compare or equate that. Once Swami said, that's why in the morning it's important to take bath. Some say in a discussion says it's like waking from a death. So if that's what Swami trying to say, if there is Atma still when you are in deep sleep, then of course there is Atma in a dead body too, because they are not different, somewhat same. That's what I want to say. Thank you, Sai.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Anyone else would like to talk?
Sayana, in this sleep, deep sleep aspect,
the I was dormant. So next day it gets up. So everything is back to normal. In the dead person's case, it is not like that. So the I, the feeling of I, or the I consciousness, also the antakarana, which has the ahamkara in it, has already left. That subtle body already left. So the I consciousness in the deep sleep was there, but in the dead man's case, that breath has left. So the breath has left, the antakarana has left. So that I consciousness is going to take another birth and rise up from there as I consciousness. Then it takes a birth there. So the Baba is trying to say here, as far as I understand, as Brother Arno beautifully said, that's none of my business to ask this question because I am living, I am not dead yet. Let the dead person ask that question. So our thing is, whatever is applicable, we have to ask. But for the curiosity, intellectual curiosity, if that question is asked, the answer will be the whole antakarana, manam, buddhis, the ahankara, mind, body, everything has left in the form of breath and it is left. So, but Brahman is existing everywhere. It is one and indivisible, stretched all over. There is no going and coming back for Atman. So whether it's in the dead body or the life body or wherever it is, Atman is there, for of course. And what has left is this antakarana. The whole group of 4 people has left. So that is the thing that Bhagawan would not say it here. Bhagawan is trying to say, so when the I consciousness is not there, you are saying man is dead. So this is my small thinking, because the people might be, sometimes confused of this one. Anybody can correct it, Saira.
Sairam. No, what Brother Shivadas has very clearly explained, I would say it's a very good explanation. But I just would like to add that there's, there's Sat, Chit, Ananda, and that, so that's what usually said of the, if anything can be said about Atman, that is what they say, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So these, as Brother Sudha said, so even a dead body is made of Panchabhutas. So Atma is, without Atma, there is nothing. So even in Panchabhutas, there is Atma. So there is Atma in the dead body too. But the Sat aspect of the Atma, apart from Chit and Ananda, that is in everything. There is without Sat, there is nothing. So that way also, I think we can say there's Atma in the dead body too. Silent.
Thank you very much, brothers. Thank you.
Sairam, I want to add a point on that, whether the Atma could be in the corpse too. Say for an example, even a stone or anything, maybe scientifically they say energy is in the frozen state. Similarly, even in our Hinduism, all the temples we have the idols in the murtis. It's in the stone format. But someone in the past or even in the current days, they say that the murti speaks in a human form, or even in the voice, they can hear. So even that the stone, if it's equal to a corpse, still time to time the atmic, it comes out and it speaks to the people, they can interact or they can have the conversation with that murti. So similarly, I also believe even in the corpse, there could be Atma that would be in the very frozen state. When it goes to the next birth or the soul, then it would be activated. So I think the Swami's explanation is beautifully said in that it's in the Susupti stage, but but when it goes to the next body or then it would be activated. It is in the frozen state. That's my understanding. But I also now believe that it's a possibility, or Atma, it could be in the corpse too. Thank you, Sairam.
Thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like to? So I will. I think I just wanted to. I don't know whether Sister Aruna had asked a question last slide. I don't know whether she was happy with the answers about what are the layers we have to remove. But again, I think this also relates to the same thing. The corpse is, there is a linkage between the Atman, the individual soul, and the corpse. The entire Sanatana Dharma is based on that. So even post funeral rituals are all based on this thought that the Atman, the Jivatman, which lived using that body, is still attached to the body in a different manner as long as the body exists. So one of the reasons why the body is cremated quickly, usually they cremate it within 24 hours, is so that that linkage is completely severed, because the Atman, when it is not properly, the body doesn't decompose quickly, there could be a lingering connection between the Atman which was living in that body and the Atman. So the thing is, so that is one of the major beliefs in the Sanatana Dharma tradition, where they would burn the body. Only for realized souls and so on, they leave the body because they are not attached to the body anyway. And they are not stuck, bound by that body. But that body itself, because of their having existed within that body and functioned, that body itself has its own power. So because of that, they usually would bury it. But generally the practice has been but even in other religions, they bury it because it's again a natural forces take on, and the body is not there out in the open for the soul to still retain its connection in a different manner, maybe not the way it was connected when it was alive. And that's the understanding. But Swami is also talking about the Atman, which is individual, as many of you have spoken. The inanimate objects also have Atman spread everywhere. The energy in its not in a distinct manner, but an all-encompassing manner. The Atman is present even in the 5 elements. So that's that was my understanding. So I thought I'll share that. If anyone has something to say, we can discuss, or we could move on to the next slide. Okay, Sister Kalyani, please proceed.
Bhakta, Then how can it be called dead? How can death happen when there is Atma? Swami, if you discriminate properly, there is not dying and no living. A moving body is called living, and a still one is dead. In dreams, any number of living bodies and corpses are seen. On waking, they do not exist. Similarly, this world, both moving and still, is non-existent. Death means the fading out of the I consciousness. Rebirth happens when the I consciousness comes again. This is what is called birth and death, my boy. Ahamkara is born, Ahamkara dies. That is all.
Sai Ram, sister, thank you very much. So Swami is, so introducing this concept of overcoming death, not being born again, and so on, in this question and answer. Very profound, because generally everyone says, I don't want to be born again. This should be the last birth. All of us have such concepts, but without really understanding what it means. If we are Atman and if we are not born, where will we live? So these are questions which I think we think it's liberation means running away from all problems, which is troubling. And Swami will say the problem is troubling you only because you're holding it tight. So I think that's what Swami is saying. So Swami says death and birth relate only to Ahamkara. The concept of this limited self is the one which is born and which dies. So as long as that knowledge does not dawn on us, we will always be born and dying. We will think at least. But as Swami says in the opening sentence, there's no real dying or no even living. Both do not exist in reality. The way we perceive them to be life and death. So Swami wants us to understand this, I think, significantly. It's an ocean of a topic, but I will open it up for discussing, what you all took away from these statements of Swami Sai Ram.
I think, Swami, it's very kind of, I think Swami is trying to, so it's very, maybe, deep philosophy, maybe there, that I am reminded of Saint Yoga Swami's, in one of his songs, he says, மண்ணில் வந்து பிறந்ததும் வாழ்ந்ததும் மாமாயை மாதவர் அறிவார் மற்றவர் அறியார் மதியாதே இதனை. So basically it means, I think, if we think we are born in this world and lived in this world, it's totally illusion. Nothing happened. So only enlightened people know that, and others don't know. That's what it means. I just reminded of that when I read this. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, brother, thank you.
Sai Ram, brother. I just wanted to try to understand the last sentence here. Why Swami is saying Ahamkara is born and Ahamkara dies? Why that terminology has been used for that? So that Ahamkaram has, I think, it contains a lot of meanings. I think I really didn't understand. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, sister. Can anyone comment on that question, please?
Sai Ram, I think I can say this for that question. Then I don't know, Brother Shivadas can correct. I think because as long as there is ahankara, ego, then this we can say we are born
and lived and died, or we imagined, or we think, or we are born, living, and die. When you get rid of that's a very high stage, but that's why fully enlightened. So then, if there is no ahankara, then there is. That's why I say ahankara is born and ahankara. So that's why my understanding. Swami is saying instead of saying you are born and you die, or soul is born and die, you can simply say ego, ahankara born and ahankara dies, because if there is no ahankara, so I think the bottom line is, if we get rid of our ego, ahankara, the game is over. That's what my understanding. Please, I don't know, and Shivadas can clarify. Saira.
Saira, this could be understood easily like this. One is when we go to bed, the I feeling goes dormant, lies dormant. Okay, the ego lies dormant in the sleep. So when it comes in the morning, I am born. When the I subsides in the body, I am dead. That is, I am sleep. I am deep sleep. So the death and birth, the sleep and the waking happens because of this I consciousness. When the when the ahankara comes in the morning, I am born again. Oh, so it is a just an simile to understand this one. But in real world, if ego is removed, if I can remove the ego, then I am Atma. So the I am Atma, but I don't feel it Atma because of the I. So when the I is gone, or when the folly of I-ness is realized, then what is left is Atma. Atma, Brahman, God. So I am God, but because the I is sticking to me, I don't feel that I am God. So the birth and death depends on that. If I is predominant in my life, that means I am born. I am born, and the joy and sorrow assail me. But if I could withdraw the I and realize my true self, then I am liberated. And as brother said in many times, that I am liberated, and I am not born, and nothing will affect me, as brother said just now. So it all depends how far that we remove the ego feeling from us. If the ego feeling is removed from us, I am perfect being. So that depends on birth and death. But the real living and dying is no meaning, because it is a dream. It is a dream. The whole of thing is dream. It's not real, because of the body feeling that I see the living and dying business going on. So if I am very firm, and if I am resolute, and if I can get rid of the I and get into the true self, then there's no birth for me and no death for me. I am ever present. I am not going to go anywhere, as brother said. Where can I go? When can Atma go? Atma is one and indivisible. It is pervading everywhere. There is no extra space to move for the Brahman to move. Brahman is everywhere. It cannot move. So I will be in the real position when the ego is removed. That's what I could say. And brother
and others can explain more about that. Thank
Sure.
you, sir.
Thank you, Sai Ram brothers. I appreciate everybody's comments. I would like to put my comments too. First of all, people are thinking, how can I realize the I? So the problem is our senses all attached to the mind. The mind is attached to the five senses. Then it will try to enjoy the pleasure and the pain. So the mind has to move out of the five senses. How can we move out of the five senses? That's what we have a lot of tools. You know what the tools are. So once the mind moved out the five senses, then only it started to realize the I. Once you started to realize the I, who am I, then there won't be death and the birth. Thank you, Sai Ram brother.
Thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to share your thoughts, please? So I will. Okay. Yes, brother Melissa.
No, just one point. I thought no. These what Brother Siddharth has said and all we discussed. It's actually come to that stage, experientially come to that stage. It maybe for now, for us, it might look far away, but even intellectually, if we have a clear grasp on this philosophy and concept, that itself has a great impact, will have great impact in our spiritual progress. That's what I wanted to say, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. So I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. In the translation, it says rebirth happens when the I consciousness come again. I think that's a bit of an incorrect translation or inaccurate translation, I would say. Swami has used the words aham vritti. Vritti is generation of this I principle into other things. You know, it morphs into many other things. That's what Swami says. So the birth is not the I, because I think the I, which is aham, is the real self. But ahamkaram, I think Sister Aruna's question is why ahamkaram? Ahamkaram happens when you identify this aham with the body or the mind. So what Swami says, what exactly is born is the identification of the I with the body is the one which is born. The identification with the body or the mind is the one which is dead. Because both of them relate to this five elemental world, and they just keep on changing. Even the body undergoes lots of changes from birth to death. But we don't cry because our body as a child is dead. Now we have a body which is only every 7 years the body, every cell in the body dies. But we don't even recognize that. For some reason, because there seems to be some continuity in the vessel in which we are traveling, we think nothing has changed. We just say it's growing old. But actually, every moment it is dying and is born. The cells, if you want to consider them, they just disintegrate and integrate. That is the way we live. But because we identify with the body, we are also dying along with the body and being born with the body. So Swami, the ahankaram is identifying that we are the body is the cause of death. If you do not identify with the body, it's considered liberation, and that is what Swami is talking. Only then you will be joyful. That joyfulness or a continuous bliss will come only when we identify ourselves with this Atman and not with the body. Ahankara means identifying with the body. Akaram is body. Whereas identifying with the self is the concept of aham. So the aham vritti means the aham is born, but it suddenly starts identifying with things around it, and that is how you are born, and that's where you die. So I think Swami wants us to understand that, as Brother Vimalesan said, it may be very, it may be difficult because we are so accustomed to knowing ourselves as body for many lifetimes. But it is also close because we ourselves aham. It is so. It's not very far. So Swami says, if we spend some time to evaluate who we are and remove the the unreal sides of us. We are not the body, as Brother Vimalan has already said. It's not this, it's not that, it's not that. The mind is only capable of doing this analysis. It is not this. Whatever the mind can perceive is not the Atma. So Swami says, just use the mind to throw away everything and throw the mind also. In the sense, you don't cling to the mind and try to view and understand. And I think Swami wants us to get, that's my understanding. So I will pause here if anyone has something to say.
So, Sairam brother, I like to put a point too. The Atma is there. Between the Atma and the body, the mind is there. That's a curtain. That is a Maya. If you remove that one, you can see the Atma. Thank you, brother Sairam.
Sairam.
Sairam, brother. Thank you for the explanation. So at the end, Ahamkaram is born, Ahamkaram dies. Until the I conscious is there, we born and dies. That's the meaning.
So,
am
sister,
I right?
I consciousness Atman. Okay. But if we think the I consciousness is the body, that is the delusion. I consciousness never born, it always exists. That aham tattvam, as Swami would say, it always exists. It is not dead, not born. But once we start identifying the body, then we will say, okay, we are born, we are dead. The example I can give is, if you are the ocean, if you are in the drops of the ocean, when a drop comes, if you think I am only the drop, then you will think you are separate, you are born and you are dead. But if you think I am the ocean, the drops come and fall, you will never think that I am born, I am dead, others are born, others are dead. So Swami wants us to, the I consciousness is the Aham principle which will always exist. Because only through that you are able to even perceive everything else. But the problem is we have identified, attached ourselves to the body or the mind. Swami gives this very classic example of a monkey. The monkey, to catch a monkey, what they do is they keep a pot and put something inside. So the monkey puts its hand and it cannot let go. And it says, I am caught, and it's running away here and there, and it's caught right away by the people who want to trap it. Because why is it caught? Because it is holding on to something. Swami says, let go of that, and then the pot is not attached. The pot is our body actually. So the pot is our body because our attachments experienced through this body have held us captive to this idea that we are the pot. Swami says, Atman is, you are the Atman. Let go of the body, let go of the pot, and then the world cannot trap you. So letting go of attachments, sensory attachments, and realizing that I am different from this pot will liberate the monkey. Same way we will also be liberated as long as we don't hold on to desires, attachments, and because of the pot, the body is stuck, and we think that we are also the body pot. We are the body, and I think that's what I understand. I hope others can clarify, but I just wanted to clarify. There's a difference between I consciousness and I am the body consciousness. Atmic consciousness versus body consciousness.
Thank you so much.
Sairam,
Sairam,
just for a quick.
Sairam, sorry.
Go ahead, please. Sister, go ahead.
Sairam, oh, sorry. Someone want to talk, they can talk, and after that I can.
Sister, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Sairam, that the monkey story beautifully explained as a very simple story.
the farmers always catch the monkey. They, the coconut, they put a hole on it, they put the fruits inside, and the monkeys come and put their hand to grab the fruits. Then when they couldn't get out the fruit because they opened up the hand, so hardly, so hard to come out. The village, the person come to catch the monkey. That time also, the monkey won't let it go because he want to take out the fruit. In that time, the dying time also, he doesn't want to leave the thing. Simply that monkey can escape, the attachment, let it go like the hand, then he can escape. That's the same way the beautifully explained Brother Aruno, the monkey's thing, because the attachment, we don't want to let it go, then we will be free. That's what I would like to say.
Thank you very much, sister. Brother Surya Kumar, you must.
Thank you, Sairam. Just for quick clarification. So these things are new to me. I'm just learning now. So we've heard Swami saying BMI, body, mind, intellect concept, where body and mind is temporary, whereas Atma or consciousness or intellect is eternal or permanent. So this ahamkara, is it more related to mind, right? Ego is the mind that is making thinking or thought or ahankaram, ego, or even attachment to the body. It is because of the mind, right? Or which is mind is more related to brain, right?
Okay, brother. So yes, it's body-mind complex and the individual I consciousness, I would say. The mind is the problem. Mind, when it looks at the world and thinks that it is part of the world, that's attachment, and that's where ahamkaram stems from. Because the mind tends to look at the body and thinks that is I, that is the world towards the world. The I is the Atman. If the mind turns towards the Atman, then that's considered liberation because it removes itself from the world.
Yes.
Then it's considered liberation. It's not only pointing towards the Atman, it's also attaching itself with the Atman is considered liberation. There it's I consciousness. When you turn towards the body, then it becomes I am the body consciousness.
Right.
But the mind is the tool which all of us use as human beings to either live in this world or to liberate ourselves. So that's my understanding. There's a comment in the chat box, so I'll just read out. Adding another perspective to body and mind, Swami also mentioned these two important tools to realize the self. So it's important we keep these both in the right condition at all times. We generally associate mind and the body in a slightly negative connotation, but they're essential for us to move forward to just like the knife and the hands of the surgeon and thief. So the thing is, these are tools which are needed to travel in this ocean of life. But we should not think that the tools are ourselves. I think that's the point which Brother Sitaram wants to say. So the thing is, when the mind is directed towards the Lord, the mind is also used well and the body is also used well. And it's like the vehicle which we use to travel on a journey. We have to use, if we are using a vehicle, the vehicle should be in good condition and we should be able to drive it. So the mind and body are like a vehicle. But at some point, we should remember that we have to get out of the body and go somewhere. If we start taking too much care of the car or the vehicle, we may not end up at the destination. So I think they are tools which have to be used well. Thank you very much, Brother Sitara.
Thank you, brothers.
Sairam, I would like to say one more point. The most of the time, the beginning, Sister Ananthi said, the emotions, most of the time the mind is tricking us for simply say, one person, the bad thing. We have to always think as a Buddha, because Buddha doesn't receive the gift. He returned the gift to the person. We had to think that way. And also the own mind is tricking us with us, like we have to overcome that. One negative emotions is there, then the own mind is creating 3 of them against us. Then we are going with that. We have to overcome towards God. We have to the same way. We have to go inward. Then outside emotions we can overcome. Saira.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. It's about 10:20. Actually, we went past our time for today. I think it's an ocean of a topic, and I think the more we discuss and the more clarity we will all derive, I guess. So that's the idea of Swami, introducing the topic, which may be very philosophical, but it has very practical implications in our day-to-day life. Because all of us are facing some issue or other in our lives. How well can we deal with the situation? It's actually the solution Swami is providing. Even if we have grasped it to a little extent, the benefits are just immense. Even in the journey itself, along the journey, even if we have not reached the goal, once we go on start the journey, I'm sure we will all reap great benefits, and I think we'll have more and more joy. We will live in joy, as Swami started this chapter says. We will always be in a state of joy, even if everything around you crumbles. You will still retain that joy, and that's what Swami wants all of us to cultivate and benefit from, I think. So with these thoughts, we will close today's study circle. It was a wonderful discussion, and I think it will leave us things to contemplate and dwell on the coming weeks. I just have a small announcement. We are thinking of switching the platform on which we are using from GoToMeeting to Zoom, because many people are familiar with Zoom, and Zoom also has certain advantages in terms of streaming and things like that. So we have decided to move to Zoom as the platform. For next study circle, we will be sending out a Zoom link. So please take note of it. It'll be similar to what you are receiving, but it'll be a different link because Zoom is used widely and many people are familiar with it. GoToMeeting is not as a popular one. So I thought it will streamline everyone's participation in other meetings as well. So because of that, we are switching to Zoom. I hope it does not cause confusion. If you're having any challenges, please let us know. But what I would suggest is we are going to, we'll start the meeting, at least we will keep everything up and running at least half an hour before the meeting, so that you all can join and check and see that everything is functional. I'm sorry for creating a minor confusion in this, but I guess once the initial issues are sorted out, I think we should be all okay. Those are my words in terms of announcement. So please look out for the Zoom link, and if you are not in the habit of checking the links on a regular basis and using the same link, please look out for the new link and use it using Zoom. We will send out the link early this week. You all can try and check and see if everything is functional, so that we should be in good shape next weekend. Okay, thank you very much. I hope I didn't come as a surprise to many of you. If you all, I will just pause here and ask people, you all want more notice in terms of switching, please let me know. If you have any objections, we can work out. Saira. I think I will ask for anyone who is not happy with the switch to speak up. I will wait for about 10-15 seconds for anyone to raise an objection, and then if not, we'll close the study circle with the Samastalokansha.
So, Sairam brother, we are learning statistics the same way we are learning different tool in the technology side. Is a good opportunity. Thank you, Sairam brother.
Sairam brother. I hope it takes us to the real goal.
Brother.
Sairam. So I think there's no objection. I think everyone would have used Zoom for something or other. So Sairam everyone. So we'll close the study circle with Samasta Loka and Shanti. Sai. Om Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam everyone.
Sairam.
Sairam.
Sairam.